Good afternoon, everyone. It's so nice to have you join us today for our Brown Bag Lunch series. It's Thursday, so it must be Ask an Ambassador Day. My name is Lynn Larson. I'm Director of Student Recruitment in the College of Engineering, and I have with me a couple of fabulous ambassadors. I will let them introduce themselves, and then we'll have a little conversation with them. How does that sound? Yuan, you want to go first? You're muted.
Sorry. Hi guys, my name is Yuan and I am a senior majoring in civil engineering and I plan on going to my master's degree next fall in 2021.
And where are you going to do your master's degree?
I'm going to do my master's degree here as a fast track program with my professor in structural engineering.
Excellent. Thank you. Ishrat.
Hi, I'm currently a graduate student in the Department of Biomedical Engineering, and I will be graduating hopefully this December with my master's.
And tell us about your undergrad.
I went to undergrad here at UTA. I have an electrical engineering degree and a math degree from here, as well as a biology degree.
Excellent. Wonderful. Well, I know we've done this a few times already, so you kind of know the drill. I'm going to ask you some questions and probably follow-up questions and make some suggestions. So let's go ahead and get that first PowerPoint slide moving. And let's start with you, Ishrat. I know that being a student has so many demands on your time. You know, you're in class, you're at home, you're doing homework, you're trying to do projects, trying to do labs. You know, maybe you join a club, maybe you have a job. Obviously, you have a job, you're one of my ambassadors, right? Yeah. How do you manage your time with all of these different things popping in, you know, sleeping, eating, cooking, going to the grocery store, I mean, all that kind of stuff. How do you manage?
So, yeah, like you said, it's a lot. What I like to do, I like to visualize everything. So, like, whatever I have going on, I have a big planner. I have one of those big ones. And so it has like the whole 24 hours within it. And so I count for all the time. So I put down when I have class, and then after class, what I'm going to do, if I'm going to review lecture material, or if I'm going to get started on some homework. And then I put that time in, then after that. So I try to account for all my time so I don't waste any of it. Mm-hmm. And I just try to make sure that I'm using up my time in a useful way and not procrastinating, because that is a bad habit that I do have. And so visually seeing that I have to do all these things, it kind of helps me stay on track, and it helps me stay on top of things and, you know, manage my time in a really good way.
That sounds awesome. So do you, when you're managing your time in your planner, are you using color coding for different things? Are you just writing in different inks or highlighting or?
Yeah, for sure. I use different colors and I use highlighters. I really like colors. Like this semester I'm taking 4 classes, and so like one of my classes is red, one is black, one is blue, and one is pink. And so that really helps me, you know, have like a system that down for the semester, knowing, okay, if it's in pink, it's for this class. If it's in black, it's for this class. And then I highlight like the important dates, like at the end of the month on the 1st, I believe, I have an exam. And so that, like, I have this like super bright, like neon, like green, I want to say, highlighter. And so like looking at it, it shows me that, hey, you have a test. Make sure you study for that test. And so, yeah, just colors. But I mean, you know, everyone's different. My friend, she just only blue ink and she gets away with it. I don't know how she does it. But yeah, I really like colors. I like the visual aspect of it. I'm kind of like a visual learner anyways. And so that really helps go with what I'm used to.
Awesome. That sounds great. So in your planner, do you also account for, you know, time for a club or an activity? Obviously you've got your work hours in the planner at some point, right? But I mean, for other things, you know, I know you've got dogs, walking the dogs, or you just kind of squeeze that in when you can.
Yeah. So sometimes when like, you know, it gets a little hectic, I have to unfortunately squeeze it in. But what I do is like, I try to get all my like work stuff and my school stuff wrapped up by like maybe 7, 8 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And so then from like the rest of that night on, it's dedicated towards, you know, if I want to work out on my Peloton, work out, take my dogs feed my dogs, take them for a walk, play with them. and then eat dinner, shower, and then reassess the day, and then see what I didn't finish that needs to be finished within that 24-hour period.
Yeah. And are you getting enough sleep?
As a grad student, absolutely. Can you tell from the bags under my eyes?
Yeah, your schedule is pretty crazy. All right, Yuan, tell me, how do you manage your time? You're muted again. Darn.
I'm sorry. It's just that yesterday I was in a Teams meeting with someone, and they say they can hear everything in my room, so I'm trying to keep myself muted while I'm not talking. Yeah. So how I keep my time is that I don't have a planner, but however I utilize all the calendars through all my devices. That includes the Apple iCloud calendar, the calendar on my iPhone, the calendar on my iPad, Outlook calendars, as well as Canvas calendars. And basically throughout the day, whenever I feel like I'm not doing anything, I just go on these calendars and check. And in addition to that, also write down sticky notes and put them on my monitors or on my desk. And those mainly include what assignments I have to do today, just basically tasks I have to do for school, whether it's a project, a test to prepare for, a quiz, a reading I need to do, a video I need to watch, a discussion I have to write, or just a homework problem I still have left to do. And so far this semester it's been, well, not this semester, all these years in college, it's been working out pretty well. Not saying that I'm getting tons of sleep every semester, but it's been keeping me getting enough sleep going on, and I rarely miss assignment that's due, or a project or discussion or a test. Yeah, I'm really proud of myself that I didn't miss any of my tests throughout college. I didn't sleep over any of them because I know some of my friends have slept through their midterms for some reason.
Ouch.
Yeah, basically for my sticky notes, I just write down in different inks of pens. I just write down in different inks and just put it on my monitor. Therefore, every time I'm working on my PC, and since now it's COVID times, all of us are basically staying at home and working on a computer. Every time I'm working on it, I could just look at my sticky note and see what's left. And basically every night or every morning, I just take the one off and put on a new one if there are new things for me to do. And I do recommend all of you guys to check out the calendar on Canvas, because a lot of times if your professor posts something as, say, assignment on Canvas and there's a due date, most likely Canvas calendar will automatically recognize that and put it on there. So when you look at your calendar, you see all the assignments that's going to be due throughout the week or throughout the month.
Well, that's really interesting. So on your sticky notes, you use like the same color sticky note, just different colored pen to keep you organized?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just found in the drugstore these really cool colored ones, so that I can like really keep myself, going, because I use sticky notes. I use my phone calendar. I actually have a wall calendar, and then I use like the calendar, the Outlook calendar for like work stuff, which for me has been really helpful because as a recruiter, I've been doing a lot of presentations. And the presentations are going to start being in the middle of the night to accommodate like different time zones and stuff. So I really have to make sure that I'm keeping up with that, but also making sure that I'm showing up to all the meetings during the day during a normal work day, right? So without that, I think I'd be like totally lost. So you told me some of the tools that you use to keep time and how you account for your 24 hours. How do you meet multiple deadlines? I mean, we've got midterms coming up in a few weeks, right? So there's going to be a lot of pressure to keep all of that straight. And then we'll have finals or final projects before Thanksgiving. How do you handle everything coming together all at once? Ishrat, you're up first.
So I try to stay on top of at the end of every week, like the Saturday and the Sunday on the weekends, I have nothing to do. Well, I mean, I do my homework and I review just because my professors, like a lot of my professors from undergrad and even in grad, they liked giving out pop quizzes. And if you don't take them seriously, they can really hurt your grade. So that has taught me. So at the end of every week, I basically recap everything that we did and everything we did previously. I make like little study like outlines, like week 1 we learned this, and do all the key points. And I go through those, and then I review the material that I'm not as confident on, and just to stay up to date, because cramming is the worst feeling in the world. I unfortunately, my freshman year as an undergrad, I thought, oh, you know, in high school I would study the night before, I would get away with it. Yeah, I did that for my first physics test, and I got a 45. And I had to work really hard the rest of the semester. Like, I had to have perfect grades to get an A in the class, which was horrible. I mean, I ended up getting my A, but it was a horrible feeling. And so ever since then, I just hated having that feeling. So I try to stay on top of it as much as I can. And like with the projects and stuff, like if it's a group project, I try to work with my partners and say, hey, you know, let's do a bit by bit, so then we're not stressing. Because that's the most common thing I see with my friends, is like they'll leave things till the last minute. And especially like with the way things are going, you know, like everything's like online, and my biggest fear is if I don't have it done, like what if like my internet goes out and then like something happens, you know, how understanding will the professor be? And so I just have been trying to stay on top. Yeah, of course there's, you know, a little bit of lag. I don't always stay on top of things. Some days, like some Sundays, I'm just like, well, you know, I can just review this tomorrow and I'll go take my dogs to the park or something. But yeah, just trying to stay on top of it, I think, is the best way to do it, because once it snowballs, and it is hard to contain that avalanche.
Right. So kind of as a follow-up question, you know, we've talked about like the main idea of time management, you know, putting things in a scheduler, but when it comes down to actually studying, how do you incorporate those time management skills into the actual art of studying?
So I have a rule, like I'll study like with my full-fledged attention. I won't be on my phone, won't be on my, you know, messing around, no music or anything. I study like that for 30 minutes, then give myself a 10-minute break, walk around, you know, say hi to my dogs, maybe grab a snack, and then I come back and I study for 20 minutes. And then so that hour I'll get like, you know, as much studying done as I can, and then I'll reassess and then kind of go from there. Because, you know, there's, as like from undergrad, there's studying and then there's actual studying, where you're actually studying. And so I'm trying to do more of that actual studying, and then just not, you know, not just doing the motion to make myself feel better and say, oh yeah, I am studying. So trying to be more accountable and trying to be better with my time, because you'll be amazed if you focus on something solely, just that one thing, even with like, you know, the time restriction, like you can get a lot of it done. So.
Interesting. All right. So Yuan, same question. Let's start with how do you meet multiple deadlines and kind of figure out how to make everything work in a successful way?
I really agree with Ishra, being stay on top of things. I figured that is actually the best way to meet multiple deadlines to stay top of things. That's it. I know. I wish I knew something else that could keep me playing, having fun while meeting multiple deadlines. I wish I could find a way for that. But so far, I think stay on top of things is the best thing to do to meet that requirement. And what I mean by that is, if a professor says that there's a homework due next Wednesday, well, make it due on Monday or Sunday night. Don't wait till the last minute to submit it, because here's the thing, there's like a lot of things that could happen during the semester, like whether it's another homework popping up, whether it's a project that you forgot, whether it's a pop quiz on Monday or Wednesday, whether it's just something else in your life that you have to do. And you just happen to have that, and if you don't turn that in by the due date, most likely the professor won't extend the deadline. That's just how it is around here. Professors, they don't really accept late work, especially late homework. Some of them may accept it as 50% of the credit, but most of the time they just take it as a 0. And besides that, it's always good to know that professors tend to put the due date on the same day. Like, all of them think that a homework per week is reasonable, but they just kind of forget that you have other classes to take care of. So they try to give you all this stuff to work on a week, then they'd be like, yeah, this is reasonable for one class, but they don't really know that when you account for all the 4 or 5 other classes you have, this piles up, and like I'm saying, that deadline also piles up as well. So for me personally, I try to keep everything done at least a day or two before the actual deadline. So I have that 2 days or one day in between to maybe review my homework, to share my homework with others, and we're just also like share my homework with my peers to check what we did wrong, and if there's anything we don't understand, we'll just shoot our professor a message on Teams and ask them, so what's going on? Like, can you see what's wrong with this, or can you help us on that? Or if there's in that time in between, I can help study something else. I can prepare for the class next period. I can pre-read the chapter that will be taught this Monday or this Wednesday, or I can work on some project that's long due by now, which is due in October or November. And always remember, all the little things you do right now counts. Like especially for projects, all the little things, it's gonna count. It's gonna build up by the time, like by the day or two before the project's due, and your team members are literally racing the deadline, trying to finish whatever, trying to collaborate whatever you're trying to have in there and just put it into a project. And then you appreciate how much work you did like 2 months or a month before,
Right.
or even like 2 weeks before. Yeah, like deadlines, your work progress also builds up. So it's always good to work on things beforehand. When we have some free time, you just feel like studying, it's good to just work on those homeworks, assignments, projects, deadlines. And especially for projects, it's always good to figure out what you or your team members are going to have to do. What's your part or what's your team member's part in the first 2 weeks when you guys get the actual rubric or the professor sets out assignment. So that way everybody has a part they can work on throughout the semester, and nobody will come in the last week saying it's like, oh, what do I have to do? And when you're confused, because a lot of people get confused when they first get the rubric, they'll be like, what does this mean? Like, how do I get this thing done? It's like, and then you go ask the professor. Well, most time, well, sometimes I got, like one time I got from professor is that you should ask me this question like 2 months ago instead of right now. And it didn't really help me on that. So it's always good for projects. Just work on the first 2 weeks. Whatever you do, just figure out what you guys got to do, and so you guys got all that time to work on it.
Yeah, because sometimes things don't always go the way we anticipate, right? It's like something could go wrong, or it takes longer to do than what you think it's going to take. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that, right? So let me ask you too, Yuan, studying is a skill. How do you incorporate time management skills when you study?
When I study, so here how it is. I usually focus all my studying on either it's a Saturday or it's a Sunday and weekdays. So weekdays I don't really play games. I don't really play games or hang out with my friends. Well, I do hang out sometimes. I mean Thursday nights, Wednesday nights, I do hang out with them. I should say trying to make but for the most part of the weekdays I am in my room studying, and that's just how it is. At first, it was kind of hard for me to keep hard for me not play games or do anything. But as soon as I get engaged, or let's just say that there's so much homework or assignments I have to do, so much studying I have to do, that I just can't do anything that's besides studying. And once that time comes in, usually it's around nighttime, like 7 or 8 after dinner, because that's the best time for me to study. Like I figured I focus pretty well at around like after dinner. So that's when I start focusing. I really do like an hour to 2 hours before my focus just burns it out. And at that time, I just have to go make myself a beverage or go outside, take a walk around my apartment, or just do some house chores. Actually, you know what? I do a lot of I clean out my room, my apartment when I'm kind of stressed or burned out from studying. I feel like organizing all my stuff around my room, because I get really messy. I get a lot of papers, homework lying around. Organizing that really helps me de-stress, and I do that maybe for half an hour to an hour. And before I go back to studying, if I do have anything left over to do for that day, I go back and I try to sleep before 12. Try to sleep before 12, keep everything finished. But studying time is usually 1 to 2 hours, because after that, I don't really focus well and I need to take a break.
Yeah, I think taking a break is really important. I know that if I sit in front of the computer all day. It's like I'm so tired by like 5 o'clock, and if I still have presentations and stuff to do, you got to get up and change your position and, you know, walk around the apartment or go outside or, you know, do something like that. So here's another really good question. Since we're kind of talking about time management and projects and things coming on that you know are upcoming, what is one really good helpful hint you could share about time management and organization around exam times? Ishrat, you want to tackle that first?
Yeah, for sure. So to be honest, I'm still trying to figure that out myself. Whichever exam I have coming up the day before, I'll solely dedicate to, like, let's say, you know, I have a neural engineering exam coming up. The day before, I'll dedicate my whole day to that exam. And then if I'm unfortunate and if I have 2 exams on one day, I'll split the day. And I'll try to assess what are my weaknesses, what are my strengths in terms of the exams. And I kind of go from there and see, okay, well, you know, no, I've studied a lot. I understand this. I can explain it. You know, I feel 90% confident I can get an A versus, you know, tissue engineering. Oh my gosh, that was just so much material. I think I need more time on this. And so then what I do is I will dedicate a little bit more time, usually instead of like, you know, half the day, maybe like a little bit more of the day. And this is bad of me. I don't sleep very well the night before exams. And so I'll usually pull an all-nighter and I'll just study and just get those key things in. I use a whiteboard. And like I said, I'm a visual learner, so I have like a multitude of colorful whiteboard markers. And so I'll just write everything out, everything that I know, and just, you know, try to make sure I get all my bases covered. Because it's a tricky thing to do, and it's something I've struggled with a lot since undergrad. I get overwhelmed a lot, and I'm just like, okay, well, you know, I have these 2 exams. Because in undergrad, it would happen a lot. I would have multiple exams on one day, and it was just very, very tricky. And just, I tried as best I could to assess, you know, my strengths are in here. I think I'm confident with this exam. And then, yeah, but like usually the 4 hours leading up to the exam, I tried to do nothing and just, you know, relax myself out a little bit, maybe take like a 20-minute power nap, do something fun, like look at pictures of my dogs, or, you know, just do something that like relaxes me. And also there's I don't know if you guys, how you stay motivated, but for me, there's a YouTube video. It's the commencement speech for UT that was given by General William McRaven, and it's kind of inspiring. And so I'll usually try to listen to that before, because then it just puts me in a good mindset. Like, you know, I've studied, I've done what I can, I'm smart, I'm going to tackle this, you know. And I do things like that to help me kind of relax and get myself ready for the tests and stuff.
That's a great answer. You want to tackle that question? What's a helpful hint, an idea that you use before exam time?
Yeah, I do have a time management before exam times, is that to focus my whole night before or whole day before to studying that exam. And usually I start studying about like at least a week before or 3 days before, if time permits. If time permits, I do that, because often when I review, I go through for my engineering, well, especially from engineering exams, often that time I go over all the homework material that we did and so far up to this midterm or final, and just go over all the homework again, just because I figured a lot of professors like to give out test questions based on the homeworks. So I go over all the homeworks, and if I got questions throughout my process, I just shoot my professors an email or go to their office hours. And also during that time, I go through some of the examples we worked on in class, like those examples to really demonstrate the material or just teach us how to do the homework. I go through those again, and if he has any re-material, then I'll do that. And usually that takes at least 1 to 3 days, depending on how hard the class is. But another thing I want to say is that the best way to study for exam is to pay attention in class. I can't stress how important that is, because a lot of people just go out there like they don't really focus in class when it's class time, and they really just study themselves. Like they basically teach themselves the whole course when it comes to midterms and finals. And I mean, you can do that. Actually, you can do that because a lot of textbooks, engineering textbooks, is that they got examples, homeworks, like it's very well set up. And you can teach yourself from that because I did it before. I've done it before. I taught myself statics basically, and but it's just hard. It's very hard, and there's some things in textbooks where you can't find, and because this professors lecture talk about something else, and you might just throw that question in the midterm or final to see if you pay attention in class or not. Yeah, that happens, and I believe it's that if you're going to class, even if it's online, just pay attention in class, make notes, do whatever you need to help you stay focused and memorize. Try to just have a memory of the material that the professor is talking about. And when it comes to test time, you'll find out maybe you only needed to do half the studying as you did before because you didn't have to go back and teach yourself whatever that was already taught in class. And you only have to go back to refresh your memory a bit. So yeah, so my tip is that try to study maybe 3 days before the exam, give yourself that buffer time, and just refocuses the night or day before the examination. And if there are 2 examinations, well, I usually break it down. I study like the exam in the morning. Maybe if I have 2 exams, like one in the morning, one in the afternoon, well, I study the one in the afternoon first, the day before. Then I study the exam in the morning since that's one going to be first taken. But yes, try to focus in class. It's literally the best thing to do to prepare for exams. It's just focus in class.
Yeah, class is not for taking a nap, right? You really do have to pay attention, which I think is super important. So, what do you do, or how do you handle a situation if you've taken on too many things and you're just feeling overwhelmed? How do you resolve that? Ishrat.
So, with that, you kind of just need to, reassess and see, which one needs to be my top priority, because obviously school always needs to be your top priority, and then clubs and things like that. But, the thing is, if you do get overwhelmed, like, it's easy to lose, like, just get that feeling of anxiety and kind of lose sight of your goal. But, just make sure you get the homework, the tests, and things relating to school, get those in first, because that is your main priority, because as a student, that is your job. And then from there, if it's a club related activity, talk with the club officers or the club president, say, hey, this is what happened. Can you work with me? Can you help me out? And can we do something so that this kind of alleviates some of the stress off of me? And I mean, it's not like if you have a job, same thing, but I know it's not the best thing to do, but sometimes it does happen. And after that, we just need to kind of, make sure that your timing and organization skills are up to date. And so that doesn't happen again.
One.
For me, if you are stuck in that situation, I believe the first thing you should assess is that, like Ishra said, you should assess the situation, and you should just decide whichever things you have to let go right now and whichever things you got to focus. For example, if you're taking too many classes, let's say if you're taking 18 credit hours, and then by the time the first midterm hits, and after that you just feel like stressed out, just feel overwhelmed, well, maybe consider about dropping a class or 2. And just that's what we usually tell the students in orientation, is that it is always better to graduate with a 3.0 in like 5 semesters, or summer, like 2 extra summer semesters, than graduating with a 2.5 within like 4 years. If you just feel like stressed, because engineering is hard and classes are hard, like if you're stressing out in freshman year, I mean, that's okay. I did that too in freshman year. I stressed a lot over calculus 1, 2, 3. Like all the freshman class, I was really stressed about it. If you feel stressed, like please, like talk to your advisor, see if you guys can work it out. If you can just drop this class, because that would just really help you out with other classes, and see if you can take it, maybe over summer, or take some of those courses at TCC, or take it just next semester or the winter semester. And it really helps, and yeah, it really does help. I dropped differential equations once in the second semester, well, first semester of my sophomore year, and I took it again the second semester with less hours. Like the first time I had to squeeze into that 18 credit hours, dropped that class, became 15. I already did very well in that semester, and next time I had that extra hours for differential equations, and ended up doing way better than a D in that class, which is good. And yeah, if you're still stuck in that situation, just think that whichever things you need to focus on and which some things you just got to let go for now and go back and focus on later, just to make it better, even better, so you don't stressed out about doing things.
Right. So two things that I heard that I really want to stress, because I think both of them are like really, really important. Ishrat, you said that being a student is your job, right? And I think that's so important, because being a student and being a successful student, that's why you're at the university. All the other things are all the extra bonus points, you know, your clubs and your activities and things like that. But your job really is to be a successful student. And I think that's a really important point to keep in mind. And the other thing that I heard you both say, which I think is really important, is that when you're feeling overwhelmed and you really feel like you've taken on too much, is to ask for help, right? Ask for help in finding a different solution, or maybe dropping something. You know, there are times that, you know, even as adults, we feel overwhelmed, and it's not always the easiest thing to ask for help. And whether that's help and, you know, I need this project done, I need this assignment completed, you know, can you help me kind of think through it so I can do it more efficiently and effectively, right? I know I ask for help from my colleagues when it just seems so overwhelming that you almost feel paralyzed. And once I've asked for that help, I feel like the weight of the world is off my shoulders. So I think that's something that's really important, whether, you know, you need help with tutoring, or you need help in one of the math labs or physics lab or something like that. Those services are available to you. So when you start feeling overwhelmed, you know, do make use of asking for help, or just, you know, letting things slide, drop that class if it's so frustrating and you're just like wallowing in it, and then do it again, just like Yuan did. It's like, hey, differential equations, yikes, can't do it. Let's take it another time when I can devote more time to it. So I think that kind of stuff is also really important.
It definitely is. And I think as an engineering student, we're taught that if you fail, like, you know, it kind of makes you in a bad light, or if you try to drop a class, it makes you weak or whatever. But, you know, in my opinion, I think failure is one of the best things that can happen to you. I know in my electrical engineering degree, I did bad. I unfortunately had to repeat a class, and it was really horrible. At that time, it felt like the worst thing in the world. And I took the class again the next semester, and I got an A in the class. And, you know, UTA does have a thing called grade replacement, and it replaced my grade, and it showed the A. It did not show that bad grade. And, you know, and even with that, I have gotten multiple, because my ultimate goal is to go to medical school. And with that, I've gotten multiple interviews to med schools. So, you know, they've seen the bad grade, and they saw that the next semester I did way better. And so, you know, sometimes I feel like you do have to fail in order to kind of achieve, or, you know, challenge yourself a little bit more. And I think that's one of the hardest things for like engineering students, because we're taught that, you know, failure isn't an option. And it's so difficult sometimes, though, trying to balance everything. And sometimes we do fall, and, you know, it's okay as long as you get up and stand a little bit taller.
So Yuan, did you want to make a comment about that as well?
No, not on the comment of Ishra. Just saying that if sometimes students feel stressed, or you guys feel like you guys really need someone to talk to, or just take a stress test, because at UTA, if you take a stress test at the CAPS service, you can send that result to your professor, and based on your test or how much you're stressed, your professor can change whatever the testing time for you in order just to help you out. And this was told me by one of my structural analysis professors, is that if you really needed if you really need someone to talk to, just talk to, or just have some counseling, please just call the CAPS, contact them as a free service for UTA students. And I have used that before too, and it's really helpful. Just put the link in the chat right now.
Well, that would be great.
Yeah,
because I think that is important. Having somebody to talk to sometimes is a great stress reliever just in and of itself, right? Somebody who's like, will just listen to you and maybe give you some tips, or, a tissue, whatever it is that you might need. I think that that's really important. So thank you for bringing that up. So my next question.
For freshmen, for CAP, the first 6 hours is free, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it's a prorated rate.
Okay, that's good to know. That's super good to know. So my next question, and we've kind of touched on it, but I'd like you to kind of hone in on it a little bit more. How do you keep yourself motivated when you have so much work to do? Ishrat, you're up.
I really like gummy bears, and so I buy myself a big pack. And so if I do, if I get the research article that I was supposed to read for my professor, it's like 13 pages. So after I get that done, I kind of reward myself with like 5 gummy bears and like a little bit of a break. And then, and then I always try to think of the bigger picture. I'm not always, my job isn't always going to be a student. Hopefully one day I'll be a doctor, and, all this learning, all this studying, will be will end up amounting to something. And so that's kind of the mindset I have of trying to picture the bigger picture of why I'm here.
Nice. Yeah, that's actually a really good answer. Yuan, what do you do to keep yourself motivated when there's so much?
There's a light. When I need motivation, really, that happens a couple times throughout the semester. Whenever there's a midterm, just like actually, let me guys give you some mini stories. Just the past 2 days, I was in a bridge in north of Fort Worth. It's a newly built bridge that gives 2 lanes across the highway, and our lab group, our research group, was there to inspect the bridge with our sensors. And I was the one in charge of MIRA. It's a non-destructive testing sensor on concrete or pavement surfaces. And I was running across the bridge, like back and forth for straight up an hour under the hot sun. After that, I sat on those equipment boxes, not even chairs, it's just equipment boxes. I sat on there, I was literally blazing by the sun. I just thought to myself, it's like, why did I even pick this major at first? Just thought to myself. And yeah, I already had that thought going on, but it didn't really allow me to think too much because we still had work to finish. But then yesterday I was talking to the other ambassadors, Kevin, and I told him that, actually, like, why I chose this major was because that I just really want to help people out based on what I perceived when I was as a kid. During my childhood years, I already thought that no matter who you are, you just really need a civil engineering. You just really need a civil infrastructure, and as well as the civil engineering stuff in your life. No matter just how old you are, what profession you are, or how wealthy you are, you just still need that civil engineering. You need bridges, highways, railroad systems, drainage systems, all over the place. And that's why whenever I feel overwhelmed, I don't see a motivation. I think that back to myself, and like that bridge I'm seeing is that they just open up 4 more lanes for cars to go through, and that makes maybe whoever needs to go use that bridge at work every morning, they can just get there a little bit faster. They don't have to squeeze on that 3-lane or that 2-lane bridge over there, and they can just go on a breeze on this 4-lane bridge. And whenever they are coming back from home to see their family, it makes that quicker as well. And that does make me feel a lot more better than helping out inspecting the quality of the bridge. And also when I feel really overwhelmed by tests and stuff, and I feel like I can't do it, then I just tell myself, I look up at this, I literally open up the syllabus, look at the prereq based on like you have to get a C or better in this class. I was like, man, I got a B or I got an A in this class. I should be able to. Like, there's a reason why I'm in this class and professor let me in. It's like I can do this. Like I can do this. I made through this far. I can do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really good. And I think those are, really good examples of how to keep yourself motivated. I know that there are days when I just look at my calendar and it's just packed, here, there. And whenever something ends early, to keep my motivation going, I'll turn on some music, right, and kind of dance it out. That's from like Grey's Anatomy, and then sit back down and just know that I can go on and do more with the day, especially in this time when, everything we do is virtual. It can be hard to keep motivated, right? Go for a walk outside, kind of clear your head and stuff. So Ishrat, you brought this up at the beginning. So I'm going to ask you, because I am also guilty of this. How do you stop procrastinating?
That's a very good question. I think we would be millionaires if we found the answer to that. For me, to be honest, I still do procrastinate, but I just don't like the feeling of like, oh my gosh, I'm so rushed because there's so many other things that I have to do. Like I have my responsibilities to my other classes. I have responsibilities for the ambassadors, to my dogs, and I'm trying to get into the mindset, like, if I don't do this now, I'm going to be, rushing. And so I just don't like that feeling. So I try to do a little bit of each of whatever I need to a day, like even if it's 30 minutes worth, because then 30 minutes after 1 week can amount to the time I need to get whatever work I need to get done. Right. And so I've been trying to get into that and just doing little bits because, the little pictures make the big picture. And so I haven't been the best at it, but I am trying to stop procrastinating because, let's face it, we don't like that feeling, that rush, panicky feeling. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I don't work as well as I do and I get kind of boggled down. And so I'm just trying to be a little bit better. And so like one of my professors hands out research papers like they're candy, like these 14, 15 page research papers. And sometimes I love reading them. Like the topics are great, but they're just so technical sometimes. I'm like, man, you should have just told me you made this, it did this, done. And you used this, and this. But yeah, so and I've just been getting in the mindset like, okay, well, I'm going to read 5 pages of that paper today, 5 pages of each paper that he assigns. I'm going to take notes. And, I've just been trying to do like baby steps and trying to be less putting things off, I guess.
So I think that's a really good point, because I know if I'm looking at something on my calendar and it's a big project, right? Or it's a big thing that I have to do. I have to create something, I have to schedule something. I've got a whole bunch of schedules I need to put together. Breaking it down into smaller pieces, right? So it doesn't look so overwhelming in and of itself is a really good way to not procrastinate as much, right? If I have like a 6-hour presentation I need to do or be present at, I'm looking at that 6 hours going, oh my gosh, what am I going to do to fill that? And if I just say, okay, well, let's figure out the first hour first, and then let's figure out the second hour. So it's just really breaking it down, which I think is very helpful for someone who used to procrastinate a lot more than I do now. Yuan, how do you stop yourself from procrastinating?
Well, to stop myself from procrastinating, I'm still working on that, actually. I am still working on that. No matter it's procrastinating to make food for myself, procrastinating to go to sleep at night, or procrastinating to do homework or work on projects. Well, right now what I'm basically trying to do is that, like Ishra said, nobody likes the feeling of being stressed out about something, feeling the need to just work on that responsibility, but you still haven't worked on it yet. And that feeling is horrible. And that's been haunting me since the freshman year of college. And basically what I'm trying to do is just, like we said before, stay on top of things. Whenever, like, first step I took is that even just to attend classes, no matter it's online or on campus, especially those online classes, those asynchronous classes, I try to attend them synchronous, because I feel like, based on what I learned from last semester, is that if I don't attend a class that's asynchronous, I often just get in a thought that, oh, I'll just catch up later. and that thought really builds up week after week. And by the time it's midterm, it really sucks to watch 5 lectures all in one night. That sucks. So first step is what I did is to try to attend class synchronously, even though if it's online class. And second thing is that I try to work on the homework as soon as the class ends. I try to work on that. And actually, that's not as bad as you think because you just learn all that material in class. You just work on those examples, those concepts, those materials are still fresh in your mind. So it's actually a great time to work on this homework, and you get it done a week before. Like, yay, that's really good. Like, you literally have all this time to hang out with your friends, do whatever you need. Now that homework is knocked out, like, because you just done it like right after, and you have all that time to ask your professor about it, and now you have time to study whatever is going to be next week. It's just like stay on top of things, finish things before deadlines. It's just great. Not only it helps with your academics, also helps with your mental health as well. You don't have to have that guilty of not taking responsibility as a student anymore.
Right. I think that's like super, super important, right? So a couple more questions. How do you make time for yourself? Right? You know, like just like you time, but just, I know if I don't have like a period of the day where I take time to go for a 90-minute walk and I'm on a roll. Today was day number 167 in a row without missing a day. So that to me is one of my priorities. So that's how I make time for myself, and I'll just find the time, whether it's early in the morning or later at night, or maybe my day has started at 6 in the morning and I'll take a longer lunch hour to get that walk in. But it's really important for me, and I've made it a priority. But it's the same kind of priority as work is a priority, right? So being a student is a priority. So Ishrat, can you tell me how you make that time for yourself?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like you, I like exercise. I have a Peloton, which I don't know if y'all know what it's a spin bike. I really like biking, but you know, sometimes it's not the best to go biking at 4 in the morning. And so I just, there's various workouts you can do. And so there's this one instructor who always does like he always, his class just really lifts up my mood. And so I always try to do, even if it's like a 30-minute class, I try to do one every day just to, you know, get some time for myself, get some exercise, and just get like a little attitude boost. And then like surprisingly afterwards, I feel a little bit more energetic. And so, you know, it kind of gives me that calm, and it allows me to go on and, you know, attack that homework or whatever else I need to work on. So.
Yeah, I find that it's a mind reliever, right? It's like, forget everything else, just go and do that. So it's important. Yuan, how do you make time for yourself?
For me, about how I make time is that usually I make time for myself after the day's over at night. So it's actually around 9 or 10 when I finish all the homework I need to do, or finish whatever academic progress I have to make out through this day. And what I do in my leisure time is I try to learn something. Just like I've been trying to learn this modeling software on my iPad. It's actually been working out pretty well. I'm so surprised that it works so much better than modeling out with AutoCAD on my PC as it used to be before. And because one of my hobbies, like I like to draw out rings or jewelries on CAD softwares, and then send it to this 3D printed website and print them out on either silver or steel or whatever, and get them shipped back to me. And it's just really cool to see something created on a screen being turned to actually a real life 3D object. It's really cool. I do that a lot. And besides that, I also buy some model kits from Amazon or Hobby Lobby. And I put together like some like cars like Skyline GTR, and like paint them with my friends, and put them on my shelves as a collection. And that's kind of what I do when I need to kind of de-stress myself, because that's something where I can refocus on it, but I'm not being stressed about it, and it just really feels great. And other days when it's cooler outside, I go out for a mile or 2 mile run.
Nice. So, are you going to show us your jewelry at some point? I'm really
Yeah,
curious now.
I will. Once I finish this one, I will show you guys.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. So it's like a creative outlet, right? So I
Yeah.
think that's super important. So one last question, and then maybe we can go back and revisit a couple of things. What are some tricks that you use to motivate yourself to do the really hard or really tedious things, right? Because everything isn't like easy peasy. Some things are more fun to do, easier to do, but when you're really facing that difficult, hard sort of wall, what motivates you to get over that wall to get to the other side? Yes, right.
For me personally, I just think how much happier I'll be after I have it done. And so, this week, one of the big things was tackling my statistics homework. And I don't know how many of you have taken statistics. It's kind of like a different lingo. And so the homework was short. It was only 10 questions, but they were hard. And they just took so much effort because I had to look so much stuff. Like I had to just review and just make myself understand, because like in class when the professor does it, it's super simple. Like the professor did so many examples on Tuesday and I was like, oh man, I understand this. And I get to the homework yesterday, I'm working on it today, this morning, and I'm just like, and so I just think of how much happier I'll be and how much like less stressed I'll be, and I'll be able to take my dogs for a longer walk after I get this done. And so I just think of the end goal.
Right. So it also sounds like, if I get this done, I'm going to reward myself by doing this or eating a gummy bear or, like there's a reward at the end of the tunnel.
Yes. Yeah. Like there's that light at the end of the tunnel. And I think that's a lot of like how I kind of work as well. Like I think of like, okay, after this I can go do something else with my time, something that I like. So, might as well get this done, because the more I prolong it, the more it'll interfere with me doing other things and studying for my other classes that I actually understand and do like a little bit more than statistics and permutations and combinations.
Yeah, which I totally understand. So Yuan, give us some insight.
For me to tackle something that's really hard to keep myself motivated is that I like the achievement after I finish them. Yeah, I don't know why, but it's like I don't know if the audiences have any games and stuff. Like if you're a gamer, you must have heard some games like Sekiro and Dark Souls, or even like the first like Nintendo 64 games like Super Mario, all those hardcore games. Like I feel like the white gamers love those games that you had that feeling of achievement when you beat the game or beat just a mini boss in that game. You have that like that rush of just joy and achievement after you beat it. And I feel the same same way with school. Like for some of the classes I taken, like especially stats that Isra has taken, like for me that class was hard. I just feel like that class was trying to wire my brain to something else other than calculus or differential equations, and it was just not working out for me until like 2 months later. And when it finally worked out, I feel like, wow, like dang, I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know I can do that. That feels very good. And other classes such as reinforced concrete and like structural analysis and mechanics of materials, all those classes, like it was really hard for me. But again, it was interesting too. It was interesting to me enough that I just want to really tackle this down. I know that there's no other way than just going directly at it and just chew that thing down until you understand it. And for me, I'm really motivated to get those done and just feel achieved after that.
Yeah, I think you've both made a point about statistics, is that, statistics classes are often within the math department, right? But it's a different kind of math. It's like learning a totally new language, right? Because it's different than calculus or differential equations or linear algebra. It's like, it's way off here in left field, right? which is pretty normal. So I need to leave in like 3 minutes because I have a 1 o'clock presentation to do and got to get online. So if you could just summarize or give us other words of wisdom in like the next like 2-minute time frame that you would like to share with the students? As always, I really appreciate your time and your insight as seasoned students. So Ishrat, do you have any last minute words of wisdom?
Just make a method that works for you. Like, the phone thing works for me, accounting for all the time, all the hours of my day. But, just do you, whatever works for you, whatever's comfortable for you, just find that and then, rock with it. And sometimes, if you do get overwhelmed and if you miss a deadline, it's okay. Like, as humans, we're not going to be perfect. And, just do the best you can and, you'll get rewarded for it. So.
Yuan,
you're up.
Quoting back to Ishrat of being student is your job, and to make that job really happening, you just gotta go attend class. No matter it's asynchronous or synchronous, please try to finish your classes within a week. Try to finish it this week. If the lecture is posted on Wednesday, finish before Sunday. Please just try to do that, and trust me, your academics this semester would be so much easier if you just stay focused on this. If you get those classes finished, you can do just whatever you want to do in your leisure time, no matter it's working on a side project to put on a resume, or it's working out for a meeting for an organization, or working on your job. You just have so much more time for those if you just stay on top of your classes. And I think that's one of the best time management skills that you can have.
That's awesome. So this last slide up here is our contact information. My email and my phone number are up there if you want to reach out to me at some point. The Be an Engineer email is answered by all of the student ambassadors that we have in the office. So if you want to hear from a student, definitely reach out to them. And then our ambassadors also have office hours on Teams, and these are the links to those. You are more than welcome to get in touch with them, ask them questions. We now have a total of 7 ambassadors, and so it's more than just Ishrat and Yuan, but we're there to help you be the best student that you can possibly be. So I want to thank you all for joining us today. I want to thank my fabulous presenters. Really appreciate your time today. And thanks everybody for being here, and have a fabulous afternoon.
Bye.